right, now we're going to bring it. It was a struggle, but I finally got someone from Infragard, Stephanie Scheuermann. I think we got caught up in the Labor Day stuff and trying to track somebody down and things going on. But welcome you're a first timer to the show, Stephanie. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. Dan could have covered this segment, but I love that I have the opportunity to do it. So I'm just going to start out with a few slides, if that's okay.
Yeah, the green button at the bottom, just click on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, we always assume, Stephanie, that people may have never heard of any of the folks. Well, Richard and Dan are on every month, so they probably heard of them. But in general, we just assume people don't know who these folks are. So why don't you explain, I think you're going to do it with your slide deck, what Infragard is.
Absolutely. So certainly Infragard is a public-private partnership between the FBI and private sector companies that really run our national critical infrastructure for the purposes of sharing threat information, right? So that we can protect our nation's infrastructure from compromise. And the goal is to work together to build trust relationships so that, outside of an emergency, so that during an emergency, we feel comfortable with each other. Also to, streamline and simplify that private sector sharing, enable you to build your network both locally and nationally, and give you opportunities to contribute, as a good citizen, and certainly at representing our infrastructure, right? So that is the overall national infrastructure, Infragard organization's mission. And there are 16 critical infrastructure sectors, right, whose assets support our nation's infrastructure that are vital to the United States. And when we think about Michigan, well, let me just tell you, there are 78 chapters nationwide. Chapters are created in each state based on if there is an FBI field office there. And believe it or not, the state of Michigan only has a single field office. So we have one chapter covering both peninsulas. So we have a big job in our Michigan chapter to support the state. Infragard nationally has over 80,000 members, and within those members, 75% of the top 100 Fortune 500 companies are represented.
Okay.
So in Michigan,
go ahead.
Okay.
Keep going. You're doing fine.
All right. So in Michigan, we have about 2,000 members, and we recognize education as an additional critical infrastructure sector. So I was so happy to hear Dan highlight some of the activities in education, with education, because it's important to Michigan Infragard chapter as well. We target certain initiatives throughout the year in our chapter. We target 3 quarterly meetings and an annual all-day conference. We struggled a little bit during COVID to continue to put those on. We found, though, we did have more attendees when we had virtual meetings. And so we're moving to a hybrid as we go into 2024, we're going to carry that forward and provide both opportunities. And we do have an annual members only meeting at Secure World Detroit, where we try to bring in more vetted information, more detailed information to the members as you attend in, because it is a vetted member organization, meaning to join Infragard, you do have to be pass a basic background check. We are a 501(c)(3). All the chapters are 501(c)(3)s. Therefore, we have a board of directors, a 16-member board with 2-year terms. We are assigned an FBI coordinator. We represent the Midwest in a regional gathering. We also contribute and participate to National Infragard Congress, which is happening right now, which is why you struggled to find someone, because we have a couple board members attending that organization. And we also have an advisory council where we bring together statewide critical infrastructure thought leaders to advise us on what's important in the state, so that we can focus our mission and goals, which we also align to that national perspective, right? And those include promote security awareness, distribute resources and tools and information, leverage the national and Michigan it says sector chief program, but it is the National Safety and Security. They changed it to the NSSRP, and it's on a later slide what that stands for. But we lovingly keep calling it the sector chief program so that you kind of have a single point of contact for the important sectors in your state that can connect within their network. And in the event of emergency or actually sharing targeted information, we can get quickly through those channels. And we're touching base, right, with small, medium, and large. So I don't want to just say it's focused on those 100 top 500 in industry, because they get lots of access to information, right? And so we're able through Infragard to even connect to small and medium businesses. And by having that advisory board, we're able to connect across the state of Michigan, right? So it's really important to the success of what we do. We maintain and foster relationships with FBI, and I think if Dan is still listening, when we have, informal questions in our strategy meetings, what's the best thing you ever got out of Infragard as an individual? And it really is that connection with the FBI and to all the resources that they provide to companies. And then certainly we look at connecting our members with internships and educational outreach programs. I'm probably taking too long and not giving you a chance to ask me any questions, and I certainly want to do that, but I just wanted to highlight here just some benefits. I have a couple other slides if you're interested in who those board members are, but you can see our website link down there at the bottom. These are just really some of the benefits of joining Infragard, having access to the member portal through Infragard, connecting to tools and intelligence and information and contacts, both through our Michigan Infragard portal, and then as an Infragard member, you'll get secure access into the FBI portal where they distribute those intelligence items. And, there's recorded education. So not just what goes on in Michigan, but you can get access to and participate in educational events that are happening across all of those chapters, those 78 chapters in the United States. I'll just stop there. And
yes, give us a few moments for questions. I know Matt Lausch, who would never be able to pass a background test. He wants to ask a couple questions. Those reporters are those slippery fellas.
Well, I'm a recovering journalist now.
Okay,
so
good.
I'm in higher ed PR now, so not quite as bad. But I did want to ask you, tell me a little bit about what's the advantage of a smaller organization. I mean, if you're not a high profile big business, what's the benefit to a smaller organization of joining Infragard? What does it cost you? Does it cost you anything other than time? And what do you get?
And in the state of Michigan, $0 to join. I believe some chapters consider dues, larger chapters, more fancy down in Houston or LA. But here in Michigan, we do not charge dues. It's merely submitting an application to apply. There's some changes that are coming down where you have to more adequately show that you are tied to or representing a critical infrastructure company in the state of Michigan. So there's going to be some more steps to go through, right, to gain membership. Right away. Right? Right away, you gain access to intelligence information that you otherwise wouldn't, like immediate threats, indicators of compromise, things, tools. They have a tool, iGuardian, and other things where if you're a smaller company and maybe you have a malicious file and you want to say you don't have the skills or anything, but you have a little bit, you can submit that file up and they will run through it and see if they recognize it and give you some identifiers. You get access, like I said, to an immense amount of training and skills growth there that are put on through the chapters, and really, really high value stuff is being put on and available there, and they have a historical library of those things. And they have special interest groups like on EMP, electromagnetic pulse and the impacts, so you can join. They have an insider threat working, special interest group, and a few of those are spinning up. And then of course the sector chief, like I said, and they even have a cross sector interest group, which is really great, because certainly we don't operate on our own. Dan highlighted transportation. For the state of Michigan, I'm currently the transportation sector chief. And certainly for manufacturing automobiles, we're dependent on many other sectors to get that supply chain working and humming for our just-in-time manufacturing goals. So it's so important that we have this avenues like this to connect with each other in a trusted, vetted group.
All right.
Okay.
I don't want to shill for somebody, but I will, because Tamara Shoemaker, going back to the Cyber Summit that's coming up on the 18th at Novi, has put out a book for teachers on how they can teach their grade school students how to be cyber safe. And so I wanted to throw in a plug for her, because that made reference to the kids, and the kids that are online 24/7, right? So some of them just don't understand there's a lot of bad guys out there, right?
I'm a big fan of Tamara.
Yeah, we'll get Tamara involved with this somehow. So go ahead, Matt.
Okay. So basically, is this a division or a directorate, or what is it within FBI? Is it strictly an outreach effort, or is it some kind of formal division of FBI?
It's through their outreach department. Certainly, Infragard was formed as an outcome of the 9/11 committee. So what an appropriate day for you to invite me here and invite Infragard here. And I'm so glad we found someone from Michigan to talk to you, because the actual organization and mission was formed as an outcome of that event.
Yeah, I'll just jump in real quick here. Dan's back here, Matt. And the Michigan Infragard is a nonprofit. So while we work very closely with the FBI, and I've been on the board, I was previous president from over a decade ago. Stephanie was the president as well. Been involved for almost 20 years now, and it really is a great community to network, as we mentioned in other examples of the Cyber Summit and other opportunities. But it's also it is a nonprofit, which is separate from the FBI. I just want to make sure that's clear.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
You keep, I read about, I'm a fan of dystopian fiction. So you read about these nightmare scenarios of people messing with the power grid, or, you really want to mess up Detroit, turn off the stoplights, opening dams, that kind of thing. We've so far avoided that. To what extent do you think groups like Infragard can be credited for that?
Wow, I feel like I have a plant in the audience. So since I've been in Infragard, thanks for reminding me. Since I've been a member of Infragard, I've had the opportunity to participate in multiple tabletop exercises. Some have been just, table reads, and some have been more active. And probably one of my favorites that was really, really hit home was one we were led through with the state of Indiana chapter, and they did a regional tabletop, exactly what you're talking, where the power grid was was attacked and made unavailable, and therefore affecting our entire region. And just having that experience, you learn so much. And I really think a lot of folks don't have the opportunity or the resources and participation to be able to have that, feeling of going through a tabletop exercise, a real tabletop exercise, where you have to remind people, this is just a test, this is not real. So really quality stuff there.
Yeah, I think the electrical power shut down as well. I live in Ann Arbor, and it involuntarily has been shut down 3 or 4
I live
times
in Dearborn,
now because of
me
of
too.
storms. And
I'm in Dearborn too. I was out for 4 days in February.
Right.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
As one who has an online business, it was very challenging to run the business with no power. So and everybody is plugged into the internet now and does everything virtually, or not everything, but many things. So that would be the scariest scenario, I think, for us, as long with the electronic magnetic pulse, or whatever it's called, where they could cripple a lot of the computer equipment. That's another scary scenario, right?
And I think the cool thing about Infragard is that we also provide resources. Then maybe as a member, you participate in this event, but we provide you with materials such that you could bring that back and walk through that at your office, that you would have materials to go and maybe have a conversation and think of, and have a discussion about that, which is so powerful, just to have even sat down considered it over coffee, if you will.
Yes.
And so
Okay. This is where we let you do the final shameless plug. So what's the best way for folks to get in touch with Infragard if they're interested in joining and can pass all your tests? And of course, Matt couldn't pass the background test, but a lot of other people probably could. So
certainly Infragard.org or MichiganInfragard.org. So both work. If you want to apply for Infragard, though, you have to go through Infragard.org.